So I was tagged by Corbin over at Northwest Scent to bring you my 4 most nostalgic fragrances. So here we go. Stay tuned. So I guess we'll kind of timeline it and go back to probably the most nostalgic fragrance from my childhood, which is more along the lines of the latter years of elementary school, 5th grade, 6th grade, where me and my friends were really starting to wear Tommy Hilfiger a lot. And of course, I'm talking about Tommy by Tommy Hilfiger. That was the sought after fragrance during those years. And Polo Green as well. Really, that could have fit here, but it was more about Tommy during those days for us. We were wearing Nike in the summer and in the heat, and then anytime we would have school dance or go hang out somewhere, whatever, we were throwing on our Tommy Hilfiger shirts and Tommy jeans and all that, and we had to have a bottle. This was a must back then of Tommy by Tommy Hilfiger. Now, it's not the same fragrance that it used to be. It never was a real strong performer, but you know, over the years, ingredients have different restrictions thrown on them and stuff like that. So this has been reformulated God knows how many times, but it still smells pretty close to the original. And it's one that I'll always have to have. I do have what's left of this 1 ounce bottle. I do have another sealed 1 ounce bottle. I have another sealed 50 ml bottle. Every time I run across them on clearance at a Marshall's or a TJ Maxx for $6, $7, $8, $10 or whatever, I usually pick them up because it's one that I know I'll always go to. I'll always spray it at some point throughout the year. In the, you know, the warmer weather, I always spray this, especially when I'm feeling nostalgic and want to think about the good old days or have memories from the past. And that's pretty much where I'm at with Tommy by Tommy Hilfiger. Very, very nostalgic for me, near and dear to my heart, and makes me think about many, many years ago with my childhood best friends. Because this was an important fragrance back then. Tommy by Tommy Hilfiger. So, as a lot of you know, my dad actually passed away when I was 18. I was very, very close to my dad. He was my best friend. And I had, by that point, my love for fragrance had grown quite a bit. And every year I used to look forward to birthdays and Christmases because I'd usually get a fragrance. And those last 2 years of his life, he had bought me the same fragrance 2 years ago, 2 years in a row, because I had loved it so much. And that fragrance being Aspen Discovery, one that does not get talked about at all whatsoever in the communities. It's been discontinued for many years now. It's a flanker to Aspen, that green bottle, that's kind of a green Irish tweed, cool water type of fragrance that's real cheap, which I do have a bottle of that as well, but I have multiple 3/4 ounce bottles of this because they're easy to get and they're super cheap. And it's a basic barbershop fragrance. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing special. It's lavender, citruses, musk, and woods. You know, it's basic as they come, but smells like a gentlemanly barbershop style fragrance. This is where my love for barbershop fragrances and fougères and stuff like that really comes from. Not really a fougère fragrance, but in the same vein. It's a barbershop style fragrance. You know, he had passed, and it was very, very nostalgic for me. It's one that was during the time when he was a bodybuilder then, and he was a bodybuilder again then, a competing bodybuilder, and I was living in the gym back then. I'd worked at the gym that we went to and all, and so we were in that scene as far as the local fighting scene and stuff like that. A lot of our friends, we had a couple friends that were cage fighters. Ricky Falls, shout out to you if you ever see this video. We would go hit, and I was old enough to go to these things with him, and this was always the fragrance. This reminds me of those times, those last 2 years with my dad, that I'll always cherish. So that makes this extremely nostalgic for me, because this is what I was wearing all those events we would go to in New Orleans, all the different fights in Thibodeau, and you know, hitting the gym, going to these different events. We had a lot of good times, and this is what I was wearing during that time. So I have several bottles of this. I'll never run out. I'll always have it, even if I don't wear it. It's just something I have to have, just to stroll down memory lane from time to time. And that's Aspen Discovery from COTY. Then speaking of my dad, naturally, if I'm going to have what I was wearing during that time frame, I have to have what he was wearing. Eternity, the Eau de Toilette. Now look, I'm actually not that big of a fan of Eternity. I love the EDP. Love a lot of the flankers. So-so. I'm so-so on the EDT. But man, this is nostalgia. This was not my dad's signature scent during those last 2 years, but he had this in obsession, I remember distinctly, and he would wear this the most. I smell it floating in the air. When I smell this, I can hear my dad's voice in my head even when I smell this, you know. So nostalgia level is at 1,000 with Eternity EDT. So that's why I have this bottle. I've had this bottle for a long time. This bottle is several years old, not a few years old, it's several years old. And as you can see, it's not missing much, because every once in a while it'll just get one spray just for me to smell. It's not something I want to wear. It's something that I hold near and dear because of what it means to me, where my memory is tied to this specific scent. Very, very nostalgic. Doesn't really get much more nostalgic, to be completely honest with you, but was my dad's go-to his last couple years. And like I said, with Aspen Discovery, we're hitting the bars, going to the fights and all that good stuff, working staff for Body Elite for the different events at the Civic Center and stuff like that, working security. That's what those two fragrances remind me of. I was wearing Aspen Discovery, my dad was wearing Eternity. And then last but not least is the fragrance that kind of changed it for me and really took my love for fragrances to the next level. At this point, it was when Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue came out. This is my third bottle. The reason I have this 40 ml, I got it on clearance for like 10, 12 bucks, something like that a while back. And one that I just spray here and there. I don't wear it all the time. I do like the way this one smells more than O Intense, but the O Intense just performs so much better. That's kind of my go-to. But this is another one that I'll always have to have a bottle. Whenever this runs out eventually, I'll probably get my hands on another 4.2, and that'll last who knows how long. But this one changed it for me. I fell in love with this fragrance from when it came out. This was the initial compliment beast for me. I had never been complimented on what I was wearing more than when I got Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. I fell in love with this scent from the moment I smelled it at Dillard's, at Southland Mall, back in my hometown. You know, and I had to have a bottle. I had got a gift set that Christmas because I wanted it. And I mean, that's before the discount sites and all that. That's way, way back. So it was asked for Christmas because whoever was buying it for me, mom or whoever, it was going to be, retail was getting paid. So definitely extremely nostalgic for me, because this is where my love for fragrances jumped. It jumped into a new tier. Maybe not to where it is now, but along my fragrance journey, as people like to call their fragrance journey, this was a huge part of it, because this is when I started not necessarily really becoming a collector, but really expanding my fragrance wardrobe is what I'll say, because I had went from about 6 to 10 bottles at that point to where I started getting into the 20 to 30 bottle range. That's when I took that next step to where, okay, I'm really into fragrances now. I really like to smell great all the time. And this was definitely that fragrance for me. Very, very important fragrance in my journey. Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue. So that's the good and the bad with doing a nostalgic fragrance list, because it can get real personal and real emotional, because, you know, tying to my dad, who it's been 18 years in May. That's what that tattoo is. 18 years in May, he'll have passed. So that's 18 years of scent, 20 years really of scent memory for Aspen Discovery and Calvin Klein Eternity. So, and it always takes me to those good times. But this was a tag video, so I have to tag a few people. So I guess I'm gonna go with Tyler over at Simply Fragrances. I will tag good old King Smooth, Justin Stay Fresh Productions. And let's get Steve involved. Steve, Fragrance Fanatic, tag, you're it. You need to do this video, Steve. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. I do appreciate all the feedback and I love hearing from you guys. What's some extremely nostalgic fragrances for you? I mean, I poured it out for you guys in this video. These are the most nostalgic fragrances for me. Some of you may have thought Nautica Classic, and yes, that's a very nostalgic fragrance for me, but Tommy narrowly edges that one in Polo Green out, because they kind of fit together. Tommy by Tommy Hilfiger, Nautica, and Polo, they kind of all do kind of the same thing, but Tommy, the love for Tommy came right before those two. So I went with that one. And thank you to Corbin for tagging me for this video. I do appreciate it. Make sure you check out Corbin's channel. Everybody's channel that I've mentioned is linked below. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of these four and you give them a spray now, pretty confident you'll thank me later. Have a good one, guys.